Well, guys, unless you've been living under a rock for the last 10 years or last year, you may notice AI is here and it's going to be completely disruptive to our lives. Honestly, because of the developments in AI, everything in the world over the last year or so, especially the last 6 months, has completely and utterly shifted on its axis. There's no other way to describe it. If you just look at social media, and you look at all the fake videos and the fake YouTube content that is really good and it's really convincing, but it's completely and utterly fake because it makes no sense whatsoever. And there's been pictures this week of the NASA's Orion capsule going down the streets, completely AI generated, completely fake. If you look closely, you can pick out little details like there's still a flag on the side of the capsule and stuff like that. It's obviously it wouldn't have survived the heat of re-entry, stuff like that, and it's just completely fake. The sizes are off, but this AI generated content, it is so good right now. It is so accurate in many ways. You look at it and you have to scratch your head and think, am I looking at something real? Or am I looking at something that some yahoo sitting in a basement somewhere has just made up, basically by directing his AI system, says, hey, I want a picture of this, that, and the other. Boom. He's got a video of it, he's got a picture of it, and they post it online. And people treat it like the God's honest truth. They think that this is actually happening. They see these pictures, and you're trained, your brain is trained, that when you see a picture, you think, okay, that's the God's honest truth, when it isn't. And that is very scary. Because what if you wanted to cause problems in a country, say, for example? What would you do? Maybe you could make a fake video of the leader of that country doing something inappropriate and post it online. All of a sudden, all the power is now with AI. AI is dumb, but the people who are using it are smart. And they can use it for very nefarious and very troubling ways. And, they could use it for hacking. They could use it on dating sites. In fact, there's been recent reports that people are using now AI chatbots on dating sites. They're connecting AI chatbots to dating sites, and then they're using the chat system to scam people out of money. They don't have to do anything at that point. They just run the AI chatbot. The AI chatbot talks to the sucker on the site, person thinks they're a real person. They're this, that, and the other, thinking backwards and forwards, or even sharing pictures and stuff. They're not really talking to a person. They're talking to AI chatbot, and very, very soon the chatbot is going to execute its payload. It's going to execute its mission, what it's supposed to do, which should probably be scam someone out of a few $100, like, come up with some out of the box emergency. The dog's sick, the cat's sick, my daughter needs some medicine. Please send me, a few $100, few hundred pesos, few thousand pesos, whatever, and basically scam people out of money that way. So scammers now don't even have to get out of bed. How disruptive is that? That is really scary. We're not talking about hacking systems here. We're talking about hacking the human brain. These AI systems, the people who are using these AI systems, are now hacking the human brain. And in business, it's going to be even more weird. Let's talk about that. Now, back in the old days, companies were these big, corporate entities with thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and each person had their job to do in the company and stuff like that. And that was the traditional view of business. That has now been completely turned on its head. You can run a successful business with probably 5 or 6 employees and a bunch of AI. Especially if it's a software business, and there's a lot of software businesses, a lot of computer businesses out there. You could do that with 5 or 6 employees, and you can compete with the big boys with 5 or 6 employees and a bunch of AI chatbots. I know because it's happening. It's happening. I won't mention where. That'll be the topic of the video, but I know it's happening. Okay. There are companies with just 5 or 6 software architects. There's no developers anymore. These people are software architects. They're sticking together the pieces of code that AI produces. They're running a business with that, and that business is going to compete with the big guys. That turns business upside down, inside out, right there. Now you have small businesses that can compete with the companies like Oracle, like Microsoft, all those guys. And the thing is with small businesses is they can actually have a much higher profit margin than the big guys because there's less employees. An example of Ubuntu releases a version of Linux as a good example. Ubuntu's profit margin is about 80%. 80%. Now, people in business would die for an 80% profit margin. They'd be crazy. You know, how does Ubuntu get 80% profit margin? They get it because they don't really write the software. They have a handful of engineers that just glue things together and put it out the door. Well, hang on. If you're running a business with AI, that's basically the same thing. The AI bots are doing all the work, and your engineers are basically architects. They're gluing the stuff together, making sense of the AI, and then throwing the product out the door. And a very good product it's going to be. When you do that, your profit margins can be 80-90%. Wow. These big companies such as Oracle, such as Microsoft, such as a few others, I won't mention their names, are now going to be in serious trouble because they have thousands and thousands of developers on their payroll, and a lot of the work can be done by AI. Software development is not going to go away. What's going to happen is software developers are going to be replaced by software architects. We still need people to come up with the ideas. We still need people with functional brains. We still need people to glue the software together. But we definitely don't need as many people. And that's why we're seeing these massive layoffs at places like Oracle a few days ago and other places. We're seeing this massive layoffs because they're seeing this iceberg coming. They're seeing the iceberg coming. They're seeing that, okay, these small startups now can take us on and can take us down. And money-wise, they can sell a product, the startups can, much, much cheaper than the big guys because they don't have 10,000 developers on their payroll. They have 5 or 6 people on their payroll and a bunch of AI chatbots doing the work. The software business, mark my words, the software business is going to be turned upside down in the next 5 years. I can't state that enough. It is going to go through a revolution. And you can either be standing in front of the freight train waiting to be run down, or you can leave the big guys and work for one of the little guys, knowing that you'll be safe there and you have much better benefits there because the big guys are going to be falling apart. Simple as that. And we've already seen that. What does this mean to you? Whatever job you're in, what does AI mean to you? It means that you have to be your own CEO. Now, just think about this for a minute, okay? The CEO of the company is responsible for the company. They are not responsible for your job, but they are not responsible for keeping you in a job. They are not responsible for keeping you happy. They are responsible for keeping the company functional. I know. I was at a startup back in 2000s, won't mention a name, that went bust. And they closed the doors and emptied the furniture over the weekend, and the company was no longer in existence by Monday. That sucks when it happens. You don't want to be in that situation. No CEO wants to be in that situation. So their job, and their only job, is to protect the company, to keep the company in operation. Your job and your only job is to protect yourself. Not to protect your job. To keep yourself busy, to keep yourself working. I'm not mentioning staying with the same company forever, because you know what? The days of you getting a job, staying there 50 years and getting your gold watch and cashing out and everything else, that's done. Okay, that's never going to happen again. Okay, that's our grandparents' generation. You're never going to stay at a company 50 years, cash out, get your pension, go and sit in a rocking chair on the porch for the next how many years until you die. That's not going to happen anymore. These days, every single one of us is self-employed. Period. We are all self-employed. It's been that way since the 2000s. 2000s, they kind of started to develop this thing called adapting to scale, where basically they would just have these mass layoffs whenever they need to get rid of a few heads, and it's gone bigger and bigger and bigger, and AI is just going to accelerate that. Come on. So because of that, you have to remember you are self-employed. If you do not like the deal you're getting from your employer, go somewhere else. If you think your job is at risk, go somewhere else. Learn a new skill. Do something, because now you're in control of your own company. You're in control of a company of one. Stay in control of it. Always. Don't be reliant on your job, because you know what? In 6 months, 12 months, maybe even 12 hours, your job may not be there anymore. And this fluidity we're seeing is highlighted by the way, about a week ago, a certain software company, won't mention a name, laid off about 20,000 people. They laid them off through an email that was sent out at 6 o'clock in the morning with no reply to address and a DocuSign link that contained the termination packages. That was it. That was the goodbye for, I think, 20,000 people all over the world that day. Yes, you may think it's sick, you may think it's disgusting, you may think it's horrible. I think we all think that, because human capital is not valued anymore in this economy. But that's the way it is. Simply put, that is the way it is. That is the way the world is working right now, and none of us can change that. All we can do is realize that we are responsible for our own future. We are responsible for our own destiny. It does not matter what AI does to the economy. It does not matter, that we see all these stupid videos online we have to ignore these days. It does not matter what happens to our jobs. What matters is our direction, how we cope, how we go, the way forward we move. Because we live in very difficult, very changing times right now. I'm sure a lot more things are going to change in the future. And we have to remember now, every single one of us, bar none, every single one of us is now self-employed.